Back here,
Eddie,
and we are
the
Trick or
trick-or-treaters.
Treaters. Been a while since we've done anything. We decided we were going to pay a visit to Hawkins.
Hawkins, Indiana, 1983.
Stranger Things, Season 1, guys. We watched the pilot. We are going to be reviewing the series just here and there. But we started with Season 1, the pilot, The Vanishing of Will Byers. And Eddie here got the first season. Did you get that one in Slackers?
Slackers, yes.
Great store, by the way. He got it looks like a VHS whenever you get it.
It looks like it's a box inside of a box. Magnetic clip. And it looks like a VHS tape. It's got a poster and other stuff that came with
Friends
it.
don't lie.
Which was amazing considering this is used. So it was
and it
great.
Still has the art intact.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll have to double check mine.
Not only is it a Blu-ray set, it also has DVDs. I'm trying to find the season 2 one. They only did the first 2 seasons like this at first.
I'm hoping for an awesome box set
We are
that comes
hoping
with
for
cool
a
art.
5-season box set when the final season releases.
That's one thing Netflix needs to improve on is they will release the first season like they with Emily in Paris. They don't release season 2.
I know, and you'd think with Stranger Things, with the popularity of it, they would have released the other season.
I wonder if they're waiting till the end to do a big box set.
Because I believe these were actually Target exclusives.
Yes, so they may have worked out a deal. So they've gotten the first 2 seasons and they decide not to renew for the 3rd season.
Possible.
That's what I'm thinking. So this is one of those rare shows for me where it's done right, sci-fi and mystery. I can't think of too many sci-fi mysteries that really pull me in the way this show does.
I mean, I'm sure there's ones out there, and if you guys can think of anything, feel free.
The Thing, I mean, that movie.
That was great. Watching you go in blind was awesome.
It was great, but with this, right away, it sets this with the first scene. It kind of sets the tone for the whole first season with the guy getting pulled up and the
yeah. I mean, the video we watched right before we watched the episode about the great horror openings, the top 15, or at least that guy's.
For movies, he was doing movies.
He was doing movies
doing
with
shows.
Stranger Things. Same principle.
Yeah.
That opening scene grabs you.
I still would argue, the Supernatural pilot is still my favorite of all time, but this is up there. This is a really good pilot. Because you don't necessarily know what you're getting into, but with the title like Stranger Things, you sort of get the feeling that weird stuff's going to happen.
Definitely weird. I mean, even you look at the box art, you can tell something weird's going to happen.
The group of friends playing D&D. I did not grow up with D&D. I grew up with Pokemon. I had some friends that did eventually get into D&D, but at an older age, probably like upper teens, probably like 14, 15. So we didn't really have D&D at my school that I was aware of when I was a kid. It was more Pokemon and then Yu-Gi-Oh! I got into Pokemon at the tail end, and then Yu-Gi-Oh! Came out and I jumped in. But there was not D&D like in this. Because what edition did you say they were probably using?
From what I looked up online, it's like the 3rd edition. Basic set, 3rd edition, not advanced D&D. Totally different things. Unlike Billy, I didn't get into the trading card game. Role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons. I grew up with it, not necessarily playing, but I grew up around it since I was very young because my dad played. He still played. My father was my first dungeon master, or DM as it's referred in the vernacular. And when I joined the group that Billy and his group were playing, I was the most experienced person at the table.
Yeah, I think we did 2 sessions with a group of my friends in college. Our friend would make stupid decisions and get us killed. And there was one where we're facing a dragon, and you have to do 5. You have to get 3 out of 5 successes. So I got the first 2. I succeeded. I failed at 3, and I was thinking about what I was going to do for my 4th one. My friend used his intimidate.
Oh, you trying to intimidate a dragon?
And the DM looks at him and says, "It works." He goes, "It works because every time these 2 play smart, you have to get them killed just in the tutorial, so it works." He was getting pissed. Finally, said the dragon poops and flies off. Like he basically made it work because he was tired of us making the right decisions every time. and like getting us killed because he was trying to do stupid stuff. So my experience with D&D did not happen until college. Was my first time playing. But you grew up around it. So
not just D&D, but also like BattleTech, tabletop RPG games in general. But D&D, what got me into Dungeons and Dragons, I'll admit, the artwork. And I know we're getting a little off topic here, but we'll circle back. Looking at the artwork in my dad's old books, I'm talking books from the 80s, so this ties into Stranger Things. I loved the artwork, and eventually I asked, can I play? First character was a thief. So I've always loved if I play mainly as a halfling rogue. I've tried branching out recently with the warlock. But back to Stranger Things, the opening, once we get past that opening thrill scene, the grab you, we segue into the end of a 10-hour D&D campaign.
She goes, I've been preparing 2 weeks. We've been playing for 10 hours. I didn't know it was going to last 10 hours. She goes, you've been playing for 10 hours? Now, we meet Mike, Will, Dustin, and Lucas. Now, just from the beginning impressions, you can tell Mike's the leader.
Yeah.
Mike's definitely the leader of this group of friends. Will is sort of like the shy, quiet kid. And then Lucas and Dustin, they have this like back and forth where they argue a lot.
Fireball.
But I love Dustin's humor in this first episode. And yeah, he's like, Fireball, you cast protection. And they're yelling about it.
For those, if you're not familiar with D&D, there's spells.
But there's foreshadowing because Dustin calls that the Demigorgons going to be there. They first some other, what was it that arrived first? There's some other creatures.
Troglodytes.
Yeah, those arrive. Then the Demigorgon comes and he's like, we're what does he say? We're in deep shit.
Oh, yeah. We're in deep shit, something like that. Sorry about the language, but it's what they said.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? Yeah, we're in deep shit. And he basically he ends up casting Fireball and then the dice just goes away.
Okay.
The dice gone.
I imagine if you've not played D&D, you guys have played Monopoly. When you roll the dice and they fly off the table, that's what happened.
Right, the stress, because everybody is waiting, because this is like a game-changing roll. If he succeeds, they win. If not, then they're still going and they probably lose. Because in D&D, generally, the longer the battle goes, a lot of times it's not in the best odds of the players.
Agreed.
Depending on what's going on. If they're like really complicated characters or high level, then it may change. But the idea is you want to at least hurt the boss or
what was the release year for the first season?
I forget when, because I started watching this definitely when the first season was out, before the second season, but I hadn't heard as much. You know how a lot of times there's like a lot of hype behind the show?
Yes.
I was not part of the day one, like, oh, this is going to be crazy, like from the trailers. I had heard somebody talking about it, I forget who, and I started watching it. One of my other friends, Dusty, one of my best friends, he started watching it later, and then we started watching the show together when season 2 came out, and we made a deal we would watch them together. But anyways,
okay, so 2016.
2016.
It came out middle of July.
Okay, so 2016. The boys are definitely little, you can tell, but they're sitting there playing D&D. Obviously, it doesn't go well because Will finds out he rolled a 7.
The reason I was looking at the release year is, even at that point, newest edition of D&D at that point, 5th edition.
So you said 2012?
16 was when.
Oh, 2016. So I would have been.
It was, but it's set in the 80s. But even when the show was released, you already had D&D up to 5th edition.
I would have been done with my first year of teaching, and so I would have been out of college at that point, and I would have been getting ready. You said, did it say the date?
July 15th.
July. So I would have been getting ready to start at my new job. So I was just getting ready to move back to Hillsboro. So I probably wouldn't have watched the show because I don't know if I had Netflix at that time, but I know by that like winter, I want to say I had watched it and I loved it. But the first episode hooks you. You have those characters, you know, Will. Oh yeah, we got to get to the part. Will rides his bike separately from Dustin and Lucas, and the lights are flickering and stuff, and he ends up getting home, and there's something after him, and we see kind of a shadowy kind of figure in the background, some kind of monster, and he goes in the house and tries to make a call, and he sees this monster, so he runs out to like the shed or whatever, and the dog's going crazy, and he picks up a gun and starts loading it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he at least is smart enough to know he probably needs to fight this thing off. But then it shows up behind him, and that's it. He's just gone. We don't know what happens. We assume he's either killed or he's taken. We're not quite sure at this point. It doesn't show a body or anything, so we're like, okay, he's probably still alive, but what happened? What got him? So that was like, to me, like the big starting point. Like, and it's called The Vanishing of Will Byers, so that kind of makes you think this is like a who done it or what done it kind of thing. What do you think whenever the creature is chasing them? Like, what were your thoughts on?
Well, having seen all of season 1, and I'm going to state this now, at this point, all I've seen is season 1, and that was back when it first aired. Because every time they drop a new season during the summer, my aunt, who I was living with at the time, would go to watch them, and then I'd have to go help sell honey. So she'd watch them without me, so I've not gotten to sit down and watch these. So when we get to the later seasons 2 onward, as we review them, it's going to be a first time viewing for me.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do every episode because there's so much that happens in them. And we could talk probably hours about it.
We could, yes.
So what did you see the trailers when it was first getting ready to drop, or what got you into Stranger Things?
Okay. You know, you scroll on Netflix, you catch bits while not having control of it.
Yeah.
It just got scrolled past. But I caught the whole Dungeons and Dragons intro bit from the trailer. And it caught my eye. Being a big D&D nerd that I am, and yes, I will use that term, nerd, I use a Crown Royal bag as a dice bag. Yes, I am. I'm a champion at D&D. But the D&D aspect is what caught my attention.
Okay.
And then when I realized, oh, even better, it's set in the 80s. Having grown up with all these 80 movies, excuse me, I know we're getting on another set, but despite being born mid-90s, I grew up with those classic 80s slasher movies. And even some that aren't slashers, Terminator, all those. So it's one of my favorite time periods of film.
I'll be back.
It's one of my favorite time periods, and not just film, but in general, all the
music,
music especially. So even watching the first season, I'm catching all these little references. Even though I wasn't alive during the 80s, I understand because I've seen enough of these older films that I know what these things are.
What I liked about this show from the beginning, they used D&D to foreshadow what's to come. So the Demogorgon thing, they're foreshadowing.
Well, we don't actually know what the monster itself is. A Demogorgon. They just use like the D&D monsters.
Right.
So you have an idea of what's going on?
Yes. But we know somehow D&D lore is tied into the story.
If a shape-shifting treasure chest pops up, you're all screwed.
You run away. We meet... So I'm trying to find... we're not going to get everything in order, but we know Barb's asking Nancy at one point about a boy, and we know Steve's his name, and he has a thing for Nancy. And the first thing, he has a little charm to him, but you can tell based on the way Nancy talks, he's kind of a player. He slept around with some girls, he's probably had some flings, and he moved on. So the girls know him, and not necessarily always in a good way.
Yeah.
But he does have some charm, and I didn't hate him when I first met him, but I also didn't really connect with him or love his character either. I was kind of indifferent. I was on the middle.
Even by today's standards, he's a traditional teenage boy.
He's horny. He wants some. Nancy, you get the sense from the first episode that she's very studious. She wants to do well in school. She's studying her stuff. She's Mike's older sister, the Wheelers. And you get the sense the dynamic is she is the older sister who's kind of in charge. Mike's the leader of his group, but Nancy's also kind of bossy when it comes to Mike. So you get the sense that it's the traditional older sibling rivalry. The sibling rivalry.
And I'm guilty of this. One of the little brother's friends has a crush on the sister.
Yeah, Dustin. Nancy is gorgeous. I will say this, she is. And the actress Natalie Dyer, I believe, she's awesome. But he has a crush on her. He saves some pizza for her. He's got a thing. He has a kid crush on her. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I had a crush on one of my older sister's friends. Actually, the friend in question went on to become my sister's sister-in-law.
I had a crush on the Pink Power Ranger and Hilary Duff. My first teenage crush was definitely Hilary
who
Duff.
didn't have a crush on the Pink Power Ranger?
Yeah, but Hilary Duff was my first like
So let me go to this.
crush when I realized like, okay, I just find her like really attractive. Yeah, definitely Hilary Duff. But back to this. So you get the sense she's very brainy, and that's good because it breaks the stereotype of like, I don't know, like the women can have some.
Yeah, she is intelligent.
Yeah.
From what we saw, it seems to be science. That's what she was studying at the time. And I imagine I haven't seen this since it shortly after it aired originally. So I'm hoping on this rewatch that that it shows she's smarter than just in science. I've not seen. I don't remember a lot.
Who, Nancy?
Yeah, I don't remember a lot because it's been years since I've seen it, and I only watched it like once.
See, this is what I told him earlier before we started watching. What I like about Stranger Things is there are so many great characters. Like when I think of top female characters in this series, Nancy is put my top. Joyce is probably second for me. But there's another one. You haven't met her yet, and I won't say who she is or anything. But when she comes in, actually, there's two more female characters when they come in. It's like, yeah, they fit in with the show, and they are just awesome. But they do a good job with all the characters of the show because even the ones that you may consider more minor, they're still fun. We meet Jonathan, Will's older brother, and in this first episode, I really liked him. You get the sense that he's kind of a lone wolf, just based on the way he acts. He's talking to his mom, and he's working, which she doesn't know about because she asked, "Hey, did Wilhelm come last night?" He's like, "Oh, I picked up a shift. They asked if I could work, and I'm working." And she's upset that he's working to try to help because she wants to be the sole provider. So we know that she's a single mom with two boys. And Jonathan, you get the sense that he's kind of like just kind of a lone wolf. He's very to himself, and damn it, Winona Ryder, Mrs. Joyce Byers. You get the sense she's a very protective, caring mom who has to work a lot, but she does care about her boys. And I really like her character just from the get-go because she's like so over the top with it.
And I imagine, Winona Ryder is the big name that I recognize, but I imagine if I go through some of those other actors,
Matt Modine,
the adult ones anyway, a lot of them probably had the fame in the 80s.
Yeah, Matthew Modine definitely did. And then you also we meet Hopper, and one of my favorite scenes from him, and I told you about this, is the part where he comes in and Flo is telling about garden gnomes, and then he goes, "Enjoy Spider's kid's missing," and he goes, "Coffee and contemplation, Flo.
That's what the morning is for."
And they have a T-shirt of that I would love to get just so I can wear it to work. So whenever they come up to try to talk to me, I can just like link the shirt. But we both are wearing very funny shirts. What did you think of Hopper's character in the beginning? Because at first it's hard to know at the beginning, but then as they're searching for Will, and after he has a talk with Joyce and says he goes 99 out of 100 times the kid's with someone they know.
Yeah, but what about that one time?
And he goes, "What? What about the other, the one?" And it sort of makes you, it gives you an idea of who who Joyce is, and it gives you the sense of who Hopper is. Hopper comes in hungover, on a Monday, so he's been drinking, and or maybe it's a Tuesday, I don't know, but he comes in drinking, and we find out that because the teacher, Mr. Clark, who's awesome, by the way, the science teacher, he's asking about, he's telling about his daughter, and he goes, "Yeah, she lives in the city with my wife," but then you find out she actually died. And so you start to say, okay, this man has some trauma. He uses some of his smart-assness as a defense mechanism. So I started kind of like, I always kind of liked his demeanor, but then as that happens, you start liking him more because you're like, there's some layers to these characters. early on. We meet Barb, Nancy's friend, and she doesn't really have a lot in the first episode. She just has a few lines where she asks about Steve, and Nancy's like, "Yeah, it's a one-time, okay, two-time thing. We just made out some." And then there's a note in her locker, maybe in the
Yeah, the
bathroom.
look on Barb's face.
Right.
You were saying?
But Barb, you get the sense she's also, because Nancy doesn't look like it, but Nancy's a studious, and so is Barb. You can tell Barb's like a do good, do the right thing, that sort of thing, play by the rules. So you have these two friends that connect based on their, I think, they're wanting to follow the rules, but you get the sense that Nancy may also have like a rebel side to her because she's kissing the bad boy in the men's bathroom. And they're going to study for science, more like anatomy.
It really is. I'm surprised no one lit up a cigarette at school.
Yeah, also, by the way, if you guys did not know this actually, Stranger Things is the show that caused them to have to put a smoker thing in like the age restrictions because they didn't. A lot of people were offended that there was smoking in Stranger Things. That's how it was in the 80s. Everybody smoked. So they actually now on TV shows on Netflix will tell you smoking use, tobacco use, because of this show. That is what started that trend, Stranger Things.
Sorry.
They actually have to put a smoker warning.
I was not aware of that. That is just stupid. I understand if it was like other drug use.
Yeah, sure.
Even drinking.
Yeah, underage drinking by minors, whatever, underage drinking.
But smoking, okay, maybe if it's like underage. But not if it's just a grown adult. But that's another topic.
Sorry, his calendar says bottom bitch under We Love You, and I cannot stop. I'm like, what?
I was playing that after the video.
Story time. No, okay, we'll get to that later, off camera. So
let's just say it involves my brother. Mom.
Okay, this isn't Alabama. Let's
Mom, if you're watching this, I'll explain later.
The door closes of his roommate as we talk about him being a bottom bitch. That's amazing. We could not have scripted that at all.
That was great timing.
That was. He did not want to hear about how his roommate's a bottom bitch. Okay.
I am not.
We'll talk about the bottom bitch later. Right now, we need to get back to the top bitch. Stranger Things. No. So this show is iconic, and I think it's because the way they opened this. So Will's missing. Joyce and Jonathan are searching. Hopper's asked to start a search party. They're searching. They find his bike, and they're like, "It's like a Cadillac to kids. They would, even if he would have got hurt, he would have walked it home." And I understand that because if I got tired of riding, I lived in a small town. If I got tired of riding, I would have just got off the bike and walked it home, whatever. Mm-hmm. And you knew where your friends were based on where all the bikes were. If there were no bikes there, your friends probably weren't there.
Easy way to find the kids.
Right. So that's one thing I like about this too is how realistic it is. We didn't have all this technology around. A lot of it was done through phone calls and actually going to people's house in person.
I bet that you actually alive and all that.
The 90s, yeah. I was born 1990, and we were kind of in the last group of where you would watch your morning cartoons, then you were outside most of the day, and then you were in the evening to watch some more shows.
Well,
but you were.
I was born 95, so
yeah, not much later. Still that point.
Yeah, but what I remember where we lived, it's just I was inside most of the time. I didn't go outside.
Really? Okay. Because that for me didn't happen until I was probably like 8 or 9. But I was in a small town too, so we didn't have like a lot of stuff around. We only had a gas station. The nearest restaurant was 10 miles away, and so going out to eat was a treat. It was like once every maybe 2 or 3 weeks, unless I was staying with my grandparents. And then there was no video rental unless we drove 20 minutes to another town. Like that's just how it was. So we spent time with our friends. My best friend lived next door. They had a tree house, all that. But anyways, so the 80s gave me some flashbacks. Even though I'm a 90s kid, there were some elements there.
Stuff that they carried over. The stuff hadn't quite faded out yet.
Yeah. And what I like is how they try to keep it true to everything. But anyways, the boy's missing. Will's missing. They try to call Lonnie, which is Joyce's ex-husband, and the girl hangs up, and she goes, "Some teenager just hung up on me," in the voicemail. That was funny.
That was
and great. The phone shocks because she hears Will's breathing. She doesn't hear her voice. She hears breathing. She goes, "That's my son's breathing. I know it is." And the phone like zaps her, and then you can see where it's like burnt black from where the electricity came out. So this isn't a normal just like malfunction. Something weird, something strange is going on. And if anyone's used to strange and unusual, it's Winona Ryder.
She is the strange and unusual. Forget that. Well done.
So when he goes missing and we see the shadowy kind of monster, I didn't know what it was when I first watched this. I'm like, okay, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We figured, okay, something was going on. Aliens.
Oh, okay. So Elle, we see a girl. Well, it looks like a boy, but it's a girl eating in Benny Hammond's kitchen, and she's like devouring these fries, and he like takes it away, and then later, after all the customers leave, she's eating a burger and just going to town with this thing, just eating the hell out of it. And
well, he was upset with her at first, and she just stole it, and he realized, okay.
Well, he thought it was a boy.
Yeah.
And then he realized it was a girl. And then the tattoo with the 011, the numbers, she goes, "What is it?" Takes the food away, and then she finally goes 11, and then she points to herself, saying that's her. She is 11. And so he calls social services. A lady shows up right away, says she's social services, and then proceeds to shoot Benny. Now, I told you, I thought Benny had a lot of potential as a character. He could have been a character that helps later. He had a lot of potential. So it's sad. I get it. You need to have that shock factor, but I think he did have a lot of potential as a character. And the episode does end with the boys. They're searching for Will, and they meet this girl. And they didn't know this, but their lives would change after this. What were your thoughts on the first episode?
I mean, definitely a great way to hook you. It brings you right in, and yes, a little bit of explanation, trying to introduce the world, the characters, all that. But that's any show or movie. But this, it hooks you right in. I mean, thank God for Netflix, and you can watch all 8 episodes in one day.
Yes.
So I as much as I love physical media, being able to stream some stuff and do a binge and not have to wait the next week for the next episode to drop.
Yes, and the fact that the streaming, even though sometimes it can be a little slow, for the most part, the graphics are great. The visuals are great on Netflix, especially.
I'm glad you brought that up because while this is a nice set, the audio quality was, I found it a little low. I mean, it could have just been my TV and the player itself.
I'll have to, maybe we watch the second episode of my place just to kind of compare it.
Yeah.
To see if but it could have been speakers on the TV, because I have noticed we have turned stuff up here pretty loud to hear properly, but this did seem to be even lower than what we're used to. So it could have just been that the set they made, this was a Target exclusive. This was not, I'm not sure how much time was put into the set. I mean, obviously with the case, the way they made it was. But yeah, the sound quality wasn't the greatest, but it could be that we just didn't have it up loud enough, or whatever the case is. But I will have to test it out myself. Solid pilot, very good pilot. I mean, I was intrigued. Okay, what happened to Will? Will they find him? They say where there's a will, there's a way. So we're hoping there's a will in this. But no. And then Matthew Modine's character, you don't know exactly what he is doing in the show, what his character is yet. He doesn't really have lines, or he doesn't do much in the first episode, so he's just kind of there. But you think, okay, it's Matthew Modine. They're probably going to be doing something pretty significant with him as we go on, but you don't know. And Millie Bobby Brown is Elle. I forgot how little those kids were when they filmed this.
Anything like that. When you quite literally watch these actors grow up through the progress of the show, when you go back and watch the first season, it's like, oh God. I mean, another example, and I noticed this when I did my most recent binge, Supernatural. After I got the set, me and my mom, we were constantly watching shows together. Even though she's down in Missouri, we'll make sure we'll both have DVDs. But watching the early episodes of Supernatural, like, look how young they were.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. And then as you watch and they get older, you can tell. Like if they're kids, you watch them turn into adults. If they're adults, you watch them age into like older adults, and it's a really interesting process because you don't think about it. Because when you're thinking season 1, 2, a little bit of time has passed in the story. But in real life, a lot of time has passed. And this show blew up. Stranger Things blew up. Maybe became arguably Netflix's. I mean, Wednesday has more views now, but Stranger Things was the one that started it all for Netflix. The one that really got them on the map as like the big streaming service.
I mean, there was other stuff, but yeah.
But that was like one of the earlier ones I can remember that I will go back and rewatch. There's not much.
You mean the Netflix exclusive?
Yeah, there's not very many exclusives that I can think of where early on that they had enough to intrigue me. This was the first show that made me like want to watch it. But yeah, Stranger Things is great. Good pilot. A lot of great characters to work with here. You know, at this point, we've had the Benny is our first casualty as far as like a character we've gotten to know a little bit. And like I said, it was I think it was to push the plot along.
Yeah.
I don't mind him dying.
It was okay.
What could have been with him, maybe.
Circling back to
they could have done more burger episodes where the kids go there.
Circling back to the Friday the 13th, it wasn't just senseless to kill him just to kill him.
Right.
It was to serve a purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
And the reason I used Friday the 13th is because, yeah, that's just senseless killing, but I love it because I can sit, watch it. I don't have to constantly be watching the screen. That's another thing. Because I was also trying to Google search, trying to check facts and all that while the episode was playing. And I realized there were times when I should have been looking because I could hear stuff, but you know, you get distracted. Stranger Things is one where you really should just sit and pay attention.
Yeah. I try to put my phone away. I try to make sure I have nothing else going on or I don't want to watch, especially when it's the first time. Like, you've already seen this, so it's different. But like, if I'm watching a show and it's just premiering and I'm watching for the first time, I try to finish up any conversations, finish up any, and I'll put them on the charger or whatever.
Guys, I'll say go once we start the rest of them. Mute my phone.
There you go.
No disturbance. Sorry, mother.
I mean, if you get a phone call, that's different. We can always pause it, you know.
We can, yes.
And same thing for me. Like I'm guilty of it. I'll be watching something live, like wrestling, and there might be a segment where it's kind of boring, and I'm on my phone, and then all of a sudden I miss something cool they shot to because I was on my phone. So we all do it. It's modern technology. That's another thing about shows back in the day. If you missed it, unless they're in a rerun, you had to wait for the season to come out on DVD or VHS.
Even when I was growing up, late 90s, early 2000s, when I had gotten to that age, you're watching this show. Me personally, it was either Nickelodeon or Disney.
Yeah.
And commercial drops, and you've got to run to the bathroom, run to the fridge to get a drink or something, and make it back before the commercial break is over. There's no pause button.
No. And if you did back in the day, what a lot of people did, they would take a VHS.
Yes, the classic
tape,
popping
and program your VCR to be able to get live TV on there, to switch to the channel and then record what you're, going to watch or whatever. That was our addition of being able to watch episodes right when they have it. And if there was a storm, it would knock the cable out, and guess what? You still didn't get to see it because there was no, oh, guys, we know your cable went out yesterday at 8 o'clock when you were watching your favorite show, so we're going to re-air it as a favorite for you. No, there was none of that. You either caught it again and you wanted a TV guide in order to know what was going to be on.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
How often do they actually, that time frame, how often do they actually run reruns?
Very, very rare. Certain shows, they would show repeat episodes, more with kid shows, though.
I know with the kid shows, they air them at, like, say, 7, 8. And by the time you get to, and I was late kid, early teenager, you get to, let's say, 11, 12. And I think they just do the repeat on just to fill the time gap.
Yeah. If you overslept, though, you missed it. If you might have a Cartoon Network show, a Disney show, a Nick show that were all good, and you made friends based on what show you chose to watch. Like, I remember watching Goosebumps. I made friends because I watched Goosebumps. It freaked some kids out. I was into it as a young kid. That's what got me into this whole like horror thing because as a kid, I didn't find the Goosebumps super scary. I found it cool. So I had the same feel about Stranger Things when I'm watching it. I don't, yeah, it's eerie at times, but it's cool. There's some sort of coolness level there.
Or there's two shows you want to watch that are in the same time slot, and that sucks. I've got actually two on my shelf that I did not know until I went to add them to my collection. That actually started the exact same day,
Really?
same time slot. Bones on Fox and Supernatural on CW.
So choose between those two. I would open Supernatural.
I believe we did. We did not get into Bones until season 1 had already been released on DVD. And it was after that that we got into watching it and all that. And we didn't really watch Bones live too much, but Supernatural we tried to catch each new episode.
All right, here's one more question I'm gonna ask you. Favorite character first episode of this?
First episode.
Who was your MVP of the? Who was your favorite character in this episode that you enjoyed the most?
At the moment.
Yeah.
I'd have to say either Mike or Dustin. Because Dustin's his personality-wise,
You remind me of him in a way.
Exactly.
Actually, Dustin. I will tell you guys. Spoiler: him and Steve go back and forth for me on my top two.
And then Mike, you get that leader aspect.
I really like Mike this first episode.
He's trying to help his friend and all that.
And the D&D stuff.
Yeah.
But Dustin comes off as the really smart one, but Mike is my favorite of this first episode. Dustin's the most relatable, but I like Mike in this episode because I feel like he is just a strong lead for the first episode, for the pilot, and you hear more from him. There's a lot of characters Hopper I like, but he doesn't really. He gets a few scenes, and you learn a little bit about him. They give you a little piece.
We have 7 more episodes this season.
Yeah. So as we'll go on, what we'll do is we'll tell you like who our favorite character is at the end of the season, which characters are our favorite. So the first episode, I think it's interesting to break down my episode. I'm with you, Mike and Dustin. I lean towards Mike just because of the leadership thing. I feel like he is a good leader in this episode, and him wanting to play D&D longer, we can relate to that. Yes. The gaming, Mom, can I play more video games with my friends before they have to go home, and not wanting the day to end. I mean, that's just the way that went. And the days as a kid felt longer. It felt like you had more time than we
did. I know, right?
Yeah, as an adult, I always thought, oh yeah, they do what they want. But then it's like scheduling doesn't allow that.
It's like, wait a minute, where'd my day off go?
Yeah, like I said, as a kid, you wish to be an adult because you will be able to make your own decisions, do whatever you want. But then money, time off, schedules, all get in the way of that. So being an adult is just literally trying to work with other people's schedules.
That's the issue we've got. That's why there's not as many videos.
Oh no! If we
because trying to line up our work schedule.
We were talking earlier, and this is a thing. If I was rooming with him and his other roommate, like in town or whatever, and I had a job closer, we would be able to do this probably a few times a week, because we would be able to watch multiple episodes and not have to worry about working the next morning, at least if we lived in the same town.
My work schedule is usually nights, so.
And I'm mornings. But I used to be nights, but I used to be 7 to 7, so I wouldn't be able to hang out with you anyways, because I would be getting up at 5 and you would already be starting work. So, but yeah, it's just our scheduling, and we were discussing like how much more awesome it would be if we were closer together. I mean, we're not far apart, but our schedules, if it was like we were both working like 8-hour jobs or normal jobs.
Normal, yeah.
Whatever normal is a setting. But anyways, guys, I would say the highlight for me on this first episode has to be the world building. Because you're building this world of Hawkins, Indiana, a small town, so you don't think really there. And that's one thing. I grew up in a small town, really small town, 600 people. And I love the way they set this stage with, okay, here's a small town. You don't think anything's going to happen of significance here, but it's the starting point for all this crazy stuff.
Exactly. I mean, even looking at some of the movies that are done nowadays, they set back in the 80s in that time frame.
Lisa Frankenstein, which we watched together too.
They go for the bigger cities. So having something like that and showing just a basic small town, little subdivision, is
Yeah.
nice.
It is.
Now, obviously, the world building to get bigger. You deal with what's the upside down and all that.
Yeah. But we don't. At this point, we don't know about that.
Slight spoiler alert. That's later, just later this season. But yeah, so just having the main focus at the moment being just a small town as the setting is nice.
Yeah.
Because you got the sheriff who, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how big Hawkins actually is. We don't have a population.
No.
But I imagine if it's like most small towns, everybody probably knows everybody. And that's the way it seems.
Yeah, I would say if I were to guess, Hawkins probably at the no more than a 2,000. I'd say it's definitely under 10,000. It's a smaller town.
Yeah,
definitely. But because I used to think Springfield was a big, huge city. Because I grew up in a town of 600, so whenever I found out it was over 100,000 people, I was kind of freaking out a little bit whenever I went to school there. But no, I like the small town feel. I like the 80s vibe. The music you were talking,
yeah,
oh, it's so good. I'm trying to think of a few songs that were played. It was hard to hear some of it, but there were some 80s songs playing.
I don't. The one that I remember off the top of my head is Africa.
Yeah, that was a song I wasn't exposed to until I was a little bit older.
That song is so catchy.
It is. It's very catchy, and they're doing it during a makeout scene, so it makes it funny.
Yes. Rains down.
So they're talking about things getting wet, and I really enjoy this first episode though, and it went by so quick. It literally felt like we were watching for 15 minutes, and it's probably like 40 to 50.
Yeah.
And one thing too I like about it with with these shows, you don't have commercials. They just play through the episode.
That's it. Even when you're streaming, at least at the moment.
Yeah, they have the cheapest tier now, which does have ads on Netflix.
Oh, well, okay. When this was released, they didn't have ads.
It was just one tier, I believe.
Netflix has gotten to where now they have a lower tier that has ads. It's slightly cheaper. But being able to watch a show like this and not have to worry about commercials. And that's any show. It's one of the reasons I enjoy physical media so much. Is because you're watching a show, you get into it, an action scene just got over with, or a bombshell just got dropped, and boom, commercial.
I hated that.
Or even worse, bombshell gets dropped, boom, end credits.
And then next week, you're going to find out what happens next. Or that was the season finale, and you have to wait for the outcome for next year. Or that fall, or whatever, spring, whatever it was.
Season finales aren't too bad, because they try and wrap up everything through the season. I find the mid-season finales to be
most frustrating, yes. Because then you're part 2. But part 4 came out of this. I won't spoil like what happens or anything, but originally they were going to do like 4 and 3 episodes.
For season 4, you mean? Yeah.
No, for season 4.
Yeah.
It was gonna be split, but they were gonna do. But they ended up front loading the part 1 of season 4, and they only did 2 episodes for the finale. So my buddy and I didn't have time to watch it, so we had to wait until 4th of July to watch the final 3 episodes. So it was like 2 months without knowing what happened. So we ended on a freaking cliffhanger because some crazy stuff was happening.
Oh.
And so, our agreement was we could not watch. So I restarted the series so I wouldn't violate my friend's agreement. That our rule was we could not watch the new episodes together without us both being present.
Fair warning, I will never make that kind of agreement with you because I would not be able to keep it.
I could do it for Wednesday, even the Stranger Things, because I want to watch it. If I'm watching with somebody, I can wait. I have other stuff I can watch in the meantime while I'm waiting. Or what I did was I restarted the series and got up to the point where we left off, and then 4th of July, I went to my friend's house.
See if you can time it to do that.
Well, I just watched them here and there, and then I knew I had a week left, and when I got finished, I said, okay, I only have 1 more week to know what happens next, and I held back until I went to my friend's.
You're different than me. He'll watch, say, 1 at a time or 2 at a time.
Because I like to, while I'm working the next day or 2.
He likes the suspense. He likes to let it rattle around in his head a little bit.
Yes, for Wednesday, I only watch 1 episode at a time.
Which is fine. I'm the kind of person that will get up, pop the disc in, and get through as many episodes in a day as I can.
I like to break it up though. I'll play a game for a while, or I'll read, or go for a walk.
Or if I've only got like one day off.
I'll still do that, yeah.
I try and get as much as I can, especially if I'm like really into it. Trust me, when I start watching Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, all those.
Now, if it's an old show, I don't do the same thing. If it's like whenever my friend got me the Vampire Diaries, I watched the whole season in like a month, or not a month, a week. But if it's a new show, like with Wednesday, I watched episode 1. I was at work. I thought about, okay, what's gonna happen next, and then I watched episode 2 like the next day off.
What sucked with me with Wednesday is I hadn't gotten this apartment yet, but I was working here in town, so I was crashing at my cousin's. I got through the first 7 episodes before I had to leave for work that night. I get back roughly 5-6 hours later, finally to sit down and watch the finale. But if you remember how episode 7 ended,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
coffee shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger. Hell of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, imagine. I had to just, and I should be doing this anyway, but ADHD, attention deficit, squirrel. It was rattling in my head, what's going to happen? How are they going to cap all this off? And I had to wait, not as bad as having to wait a whole week, but still.
Or not 12 years of it in Azkaban. I will say with Stranger Things, what this did for me, with my work and everything, I was not home. We had cable actually, my roommate and I, my Quinn and I, whenever we were rooming together, we had cable. But what happened was, I saw when I got on my own with my own apartment like you, I didn't have time and it was not worth the price for cable. So I said, okay, I only want to get one streaming service start out. I got Netflix. And this is the show that justified to me getting Netflix, getting rid of cable, saving some money. And after I watched this, I've watched so much stuff on Netflix. At some point, guys, I'm gonna actually write a list of like some of the stuff I've highly enjoyed off Netflix. But I will say, even though this is mostly a physical media channel, this is a media channel in general. So we definitely say streaming is okay because you have a lot of exclusives on these. I'm more of a fan of physical media for whenever they release stuff physically, so that way you have a copy. And if they ever get rid of it or censor it, you still have the unedited original version.
Or, not necessarily censored, in the case of Supernatural. Season 1 on Netflix is different music.
They did that for Charm too. The opening in the original show is different than what it is in Netflix.
Not necessarily the opening, but like, Supernatural, big 80s rock music, stuff like that. Evidently, they had to change the songs.
Oh, that's horrible.
But if you get the DVDs or the Blu-rays, you'll get the original versions that were originally aired with the original songs. But that's just copyright stuff. But still, that's a streaming versus physical media. But since we're talking Netflix, the Netflix stores.
So yeah, they're talking about opening some Netflix stores, I believe, next year, and we don't know what city yet. I'm assuming New York City is probably going to be one of the first ones. Hopefully St. Louis or Chicago.
I'm hoping St. Louis.
Probably Chicago has a higher chance, in my opinion, but it's supposed to be.
Actually, I think one.
They announced.
Actually, I think one.
It's going to be a restaurant.
Even Chicago's multi-hour drive away from us.
Oh, I'd go. We had it a couple of days off.
We would need
or head up the night before we were off.
We would have to arrange it to where we had a couple nights off.
Yeah.
Which is easily arrangeable in my job because my boss is like me.
But they announced it's going to have a restaurant, it's going to have live entertainment, and it's going to have a store. We don't know what kind of stuff you could purchase. We don't know if there's going to be physical media. But if they announce there's going to be physical media, we're going to be there because we were just talking.
Well, I'm hoping it's physical media with it being a Netflix store.
Yeah, but it's going to be mostly food and live entertainment. And
even merch.
The merch is... See, a lot of people think it's just going to be like T-shirts and stuff from the shows. Like that kind of thing. Isn't cool. But if they did physical media, Eddie and I were talking, some of the shows I would buy, or movies. Fear Street trilogy.
Yes.
right off the top, that would be the first thing I would buy. I don't know why I had an accent there. Right off the top. No, that would be the first thing I would buy.
Surely because it hasn't gotten a physical media release.
The Babysitter Killer Queen.
Those were good. We need a double feature pack.
Fate the Week Saga.
I haven't seen that.
I love that. There's another one. Oh, First Kill. It's Romeo and Juliet, but with two females. One girl comes from a family of vampire hunters. The other girl comes from a long line of vampires, and they fall for each other.
Cool.
And then it got canceled after one season because of cost.
Oh.
Because it got viewership, but not high enough for the production costs. Fate the Week Saga. Don't know why that got canceled. I got 2 seasons based off a kids animated show, but it is amazing as a live action.
And I think it's also
in Ireland.
I think there's also a game called Fate.
Really? Okay.
It's an older computer game. I gotta double check that, but I believe so.
I'm trying to think of some other exclusive. I know a lot of people buy Cobra Kai.
Those are already out.
Emily in Paris, they've only done season 1. I would buy that.
Doing the rest of Emily in Paris, doing the rest of Stranger Things.
I would also like to see, but it's not Netflix exclusive. It came out on Paramount first, and that is
School Spirits.
School Spirits. Thank you.
I've seen the first few episodes.
And at the beginning of August, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is coming out as a limited series with Emma Myers, Enid, as the lead. That'll be good.
Maybe a better edition of Wednesday than the one we got.
I would love to see a 4K.
The Blu-ray set is nice. I had to order it because evidently all they got in the store were the DVDs.
Yes.
But normally, TV shows, I'm okay with the DVDs because there's usually not much difference between a TV show DVD and a TV show Blu-ray. There are a couple of exceptions to that. I was hoping the Blu-ray may have. One, the picture quality. Normally it doesn't bother me with a TV show because, well, but Wednesday I enjoyed it so much. And not just Jenna Ortega, yes, she was a big part. Also Christina Ricci. So I grew up with the 90s Addams family.
Also, I really love Fester.
The guy that got to play Fester was awesome.
He was on Saturday Night Live. Have you seen the episode of Ortega hosting Saturday Night Live?
No, I'll have to check it out. It's amazing. But I went with the Blu-ray and I had to order it.
Me too, because he and I went to Walmart and we both saw DVD and we just both shook our heads and we both pretty much the same time said Blu-ray.
Blu-ray. And then I got it back here and I played it that night. Just to make sure that once it came in, I watched it just to make sure my discs played all the way through because there was bad copies going on.
I think they might have been some bootlegs though.
I don't know if they were entire like bootlegs or just stuff that went on during the processing. They didn't catch them before they went out.
Right. I would volunteer to be the quality tester to watch all the copies and make sure they're okay.
The other TV show that I actually went Blu-ray on instead of DVD is Supergirl. And the reason for that is the bonus disc. That was not included in any of the DVD seasons, even because on the bonus disc is all 5 episodes. And it's from 5 different shows for Crisis on Infinite Earths, all on one disc. And this disc could only get in one of the Blu-ray sets for the appropriate season. Why they didn't include it in the DVD sets, I don't know. But it was a Blu-ray exclusive. And if that is all that was on that disc, was just the episodes all together, I would have just waited off and gone Blu-ray. But I did some digging and there were extra bonus features on that disc too. So, when it was bought for me, because it was bought as a Christmas gift, the person that bought it for me asked DVD or Blu-ray, and I'm like, let me get back to you and give me about 5 minutes and I'll call you back. I did some digging and I found out there's extra special feature. I'm like, Blu-ray. Of course, I returned the favor and bought them the same set for their birthday.
That's awesome.
Of course, then they told me not to spend more money on them, and I did anyway.
While we're on the tangent, I remember I bought my sister the Pretty Little Liars series. I bought her season 1, and I ended up staying up late and watching it every night, like 3 in the morning. So I got hooked, and then she started buying me every season for my birthday every year. So I ended up with all 7 seasons. So with this, I'm hoping what my prediction is there's going to be a 4K or a Blu-ray box set that has a really cool case. Like it could be like the box set could be like Hawkins. It could be art from the show. It could come in the house.
You're talking like the older school boxes they did where they actually formed like an image across the case.
Yeah, or the case will be shaped differently, like the holding case.
Okay, I don't mind artwork across the case. Like as you all the seasons actually formed a full picture. A differently shaped case would bug me just a little bit, sitting on the shelf.
A little bit. But I wouldn't mind art from different seasons or for famous scenes throughout, like on each side.
Question.
That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, the obvious one that I've heard rattling on the internet is Vecna's house.
That's what I would want to see. Vecna's house.
Is
the Creel house.
Do you see that house in earlier seasons?
We're gonna have to be eagle eyes and see if we catch it.
Because why I'm asking
I don't
is because if
notice
the house design like sort of changes, you can have it match as it appears in that season. And that way it forms the image still. But the design, the artwork still changes depending on the season.
What I'm hoping we get is one side Hawkins, the other side the Upside Down. And we get art from both places. Or like half and half.
Depending on how you set the on your shelf, yeah.
But yeah, I would say this was very. I remember when this actually was in store at Target. For some reason, I think I probably just didn't want to spend the money at the time. I passed up on it, probably because I didn't have money available then. But they actually did have this sitting in the stores at Target, and next to like figurines of different characters. Like when this, so I remember whenever this was actually in Target.
Yes, yeah. The only time I go to Target is you nowadays because I don't drive myself.
Well, they've got the one we go to has the Starbucks. Well, most of them now they have Starbucks in it,
and a very pitiful physical media collection.
Yes, but they do have better selection of T-shirts. Actually, last time I was there, they had more. They had a little better selection, but they had a bargain bin for a while, like for like $5.
Any of the stores nowadays, some of the physical media sections have strong.
Oh, and since we're here and this is physical media, Redbox has announced they're no longer going to be doing their deal.
Yeah.
So that's one less place. But GameStop started selling movies.
We don't have a GameStop near us anymore. They closed down a few years ago.
Jacksonville's probably the closest. Well, it's like an hour and 20.
Yeah.
But yeah, they announced that. So we keep an eye on this kind of stuff because we're into the physical media collecting. And while it's not dying, it's evolving. And I like the idea of being retired because my movies are kind of my retirement plan. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to have to walk and move some, obviously, for exercise. But I definitely want to watch movies as I get older because physically you're going to be more limited. I can see Eddie and I in a nursing home in rooms next to each other, and they say, "Oh Lord, we got to Code Brown again." Billy watched Stranger Things, got excited and shit himself. Yes. What about Eddie? He vomited again. Honestly, if us two were roommates, it would be chaotic because we would get nothing done. We would probably have a mess, and we would watch and be doing videos for you. It's like, who are these two jackasses sitting around recording videos for YouTube? Yes.
Yes, it would. And as we've stated before, I would love for certain things. So I know there's stuff that I enjoy that Bill is not really into for one.
Well, I still haven't watched a lot of your stuff. There's a lot of stuff you have I was exposed to.
In particular, I was like reading about like the Nightmare on Elm
Street. Yeah.
Due to the character of Krueger, it's not something you'd really be interested in doing. So either I would love to review them either myself or bring someone else.
No, I would still watch them with you. It's just he's not one of my favorite of the killers. Like Ghostface is probably my favorite.
Because come spooky season, I've already talked about this with my mother. We're going to combine and we're going to do a massive Friday the 13th Nightmare on Elm Street binge. And it's all going to end with the remakes. But before that, the reason we're watching them together is because of Freddy vs. Jason.
Okay, so I will say this, guys. Coolest thing about going to Salem, there was a guy there that actually had the head of Freddy versus Jason. He actually had the head,
Freddy's head.
Freddy's head. He was dressed as Jason, but he had Freddy's head.
That's the end of Freddy
That's my
versus
favorite.
Jason.
I've seen that, but that's my favorite picture from Salem is that guy. Second would have had it in the Beetlejuice characters where they had the eyeballs in their fingers and stuff. But yeah, guys, so we've been going for an hour now just for episode 1, and I know we get into tangents, but
I bet you guys enjoy it when we get off topic and just
yeah,
start spouting nonsense.
we watch so much stuff, and we have such a passion for films and media of all kinds, streaming, physical, whatever, that sometimes it's hard for us to stop.
Now, once again, we don't know when we'll have another video up. With it being middle of July now, I mean,
Episode 2 will be coming soon. That's all.
hopefully, episode 2 will be coming soon. But depending on how we schedule them, if we're able to make them quick, depending on how we schedule them.
Or if we end up talking longer than what the episodes are.
We may be. we're probably going to be getting this serious spooky season again.
I would say, I know a lot of people say they start spooky season in July.
I do. Everyone.
I mean,
you got Christmas in July with Hallmark.
I watch scary movies year round, but I would say for me, I go all out. Probably the beginning of September is when I actually
going all out and getting the
decorating. Yes. September.
But spooky movie season, all that, it's all year round.
It's all year round. I just happen to watch more of it. But like I watched Pretty Liars Summer School during the summer when it was airing, so I will watch it all year. But yeah,
Hallmark has Christmas in July.
Yeah, no thanks. So yeah, this episode 1's great. The characters they introduce us to. There's a lot of arcs that are going to happen. A lot of evolving. Nancy is probably my quiet MVP in the first episode, by the way.
She is,
because you get this sense there's more to her than just this goody two shoes, studious girl. Like there's another side to her, and that's what I was kind of waiting on when I saw this first episode. Like, okay, you have the kids, but then you have the older teens. So you have Will's older brother Jonathan, Mike's older brother, or Mike's older sister Nancy, and Steve. So you have those 3 older teenagers that you don't know necessarily if they're going to be involved that much in the show.
Sorry, I got nosage.
The kids, I did too. The kids are the main focus this first episode.
Oh, well, yeah, because those are
the 4 boys and 11. Those 5
you get introduced to 11. And luckily we get to, I mean, I know I've said all I've seen season 1, so I do enjoy bits of the other season where I started to watch an episode and then that's when I had to leave or someone put something on. And I would catch a bit, but I would leave so I wasn't spoiled by what I had missed the past couple of seasons.
Right.
But from what I understand, you get to know a bit more about 11 as the show goes on.
Oh yeah,
she becomes part of the little group. She gets a bit more personality. I mean, when you see her in episode 1, she looks so scared.
But yeah, she looks very scared because we don't know where she comes from. We don't know what's happened to her.
Yeah, let's hold it up.
We don't know. There's the poster that came with.
That's the poster that came with the set.
And to me, right there, that's amazing.
Now, with this set, I got lucky and found it in the store. I've actually been careful ordering online because I've heard people, they go to order online for the season 2 set and they get the discs, yeah, but they're just stuck in a normal Blu-ray case. If I'm going to buy it, I want the retro VHS.
I saw the season 2 at Slackers one time I was there.
As a collector, even when they go to do a complete series.
Oh, I still would want because of the VHS
I would want
thing.
these as a collector. The VHS look is gorgeous.
So even if I get the box set and I can still find season 2, I'm gonna buy it.
I mean, yeah, it's bulky, but if you were alive, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s when DVD was still coming into focus and VHS was getting phased out, they're a little bulky. I mean, I bet you if I go get one of my old double disc Star Trek discs, which are not the flippers.
By the way, while he's talking about that, I will say the trend for me, I noticed VHS going to DVD was Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, because I had all of these Star Wars on VHS, 4, 5, and 6, 1 and 2, and when 3 came out, that's whenever I made the switch to DVD. That was one of the first films I remember buying on DVD, or getting as a gift or whatever.
See, even these, which are the old double disc, instead of a flipper, a 2-compartment DVD case, even these are smaller than a VHS box.
Yeah, because VHS, I remember my great grandma had a collection of a lot of Disney films, and she had 2 shelves because they took up so much space.
Okay, the Disney ones. There's a reason they took up so much space. Those plastic.
Yes!
Those were bigger than a normal VHS box.
But as far as how well I rank this, I would say in a roll full of 10s, being 11. But no, in all seriousness, one of the better pilots of a show because it hooks you. By the time you get to the end of episode 1, you're ready to find out what happens in episode 2. And had this been our first watch, I have a feeling we would have been here a little bit longer. We would have been watching more episodes before we did a review.
We would have been, but seeing as it was a rewatch.
And there were, now I love rewatching shows because since I already know the basic story, there are little things I start picking up on whenever I do a rewatch. Do you have that? Do you notice that? Like, do you start noticing more things in the background?
All the time.
Whenever you rewatch something?
Especially with growing up, I didn't have cable. When we were really lucky to get a signal on rabbit ear antennas, you know, the little ones with the antennas.
Oh, yeah. That's going back a little bit.
That sits on top of the TV, unfortunately. The house, pretty much, we were right there on the main drag. They're on School Street. So every time a semi drove by, we lost the signal.
That would have been a pain in the butt.
So I grew up watching my dad's video collection over and over and over again.
But he had quite a few, didn't he?
Yes. But there were, we all had our favorites. One of my little brother's favorites, which we did a review on, Monster Squad.
Such an underrated.
He was constantly watching that movie.
The Wolfman's got nards.
Not only, I'd rewatch the movies, but I'd also take a look at the special features. I'd listen to the audio commentaries to learn as much as I could about these movies. And these movies I'm talking date back to like the 30s. I would love to find a nice, clean copy of the 1922 Nosferatu. I got a basic, bare bones copy sitting over there in a box that we could watch before the remake comes out later this year.
Yeah, I'm planning on taking you to theaters for that one because I know you want to see that in theaters.
Oh yeah.
But guys, I will say this is one of the top shows for me on Netflix, and it's definitely Wednesday and Stranger Things. I go back and forth. I told him earlier, Wednesday is my favorite individual character, but when it comes to an ensemble cast storytelling, Stranger Things is there. Wednesday's only had 1 season; it needs more. But I love her.
They're working on season 2 now.
Yeah, biggest production in Ireland history, by the way. They said. But Stranger Things, it has the best ensemble.
It is a good ensemble cast.
And the story is so good. From episode 1, you're like, okay, what's happening next?
But, okay, question, that way they know too. Are we just going to do the first season and then do something else? Are we going to continue with the show?
Oh, we may do other videos in between, but I expect us to get through the series, yeah.
That's what I mean. Are we going to do like season 1 and then take a breather?
We might, yeah.
Okay.
Our plan, guys, is to have the first 4 seasons reviewed before season 5 comes out.
Which
I'll probably be all 50 whenever it comes out.
What? Sometime next year is when the next season drops.
Not for sure. It might be a year after. We don't know.
So we got time.
We got time, and the episodes. There's only 8 in the first season.
Yeah.
So I would expect us probably to finish it by summer. Before Halloween starts, for sure. We only have 7 more episodes to go. We might even do it to where maybe we watch 2 episodes and then do a review. Or no, we might watch like 2 one day and then review both of those. Like
you may not get both episodes at the same time. We try to space them out because of our work schedule.
Yeah. So spoiler: if you see us in the same shirts, either we chose to wear the same shirts different days like that, or possibly we filmed more than one video one day just because of our schedules. There may be times where his day off is my day. I have overtime, and then my day off. he may have picked up a shift or that's his own work
or
day.
a schedule change or something.
Yeah.
Fair warning,
Switch days, whatever.
I do wear this shirt a lot.
Who left you unsupervised again? Him and I, if we go to a bookstore or a movie store, if we go to, when we were in V-Stock, we went to the small one. Wait until him and I budget and go. I'm trying to catch him in my room.
He's saying this is a small one.
It was. There was no books there. There was no.
This is 2 V-Stocks that I had been to. The other one was mall in Missouri.
Wait, which one?
I don't remember where it was, but I was able to pop in quick when I was getting fitted for my brother's wedding. So I didn't get a chance to actually walk around and explore. It was just even smaller than the one we hit.
Oh, just wait. When I tell him the TV shows are taller than me from the ceiling to ground, they have a Blu-ray section of TV shows A to Z, and then they have a DVD.
I mean, I saw how that one was done. Yeah.
But we're talking taller than me.
Should I bring a step ladder?
And then they have children's section.
See,
remember how Best Buy used to be with multiple rows?
Yes.
The big ones like that.
Awesome.
They have a DVD section of all the movies, and they have Blu-ray, and then they also have a little bit of a 4K on the cabinet. And the new releases when you walk in, posters, video games, books, taller than me, ceiling to floor. I mean, it's all in one.
All right. Now, hopefully the Netflix stores they release physical releases.
We're gonna be broke.
Hopefully we get one close to us. We don't have to travel all the way to New York.
If it's Chicago, we'll probably take the train up because that way we don't have to drive Chicago traffic. We can just park at the train station, get a motel, get a room for a night, go explore that, and then other physical media. If, let's say we're disappointed or there's not a whole lot there, we can always find other physical media place there and then come back home.
We'd have to plan that slightly in advance.
Oh, we will.
Make sure I get days off.
We will. But yeah, we have a lot of plans.
Chicago to do what? Video shopping?
Well, guys, this has been great. We've been talking for an hour and 12 minutes now.
I think this is our longest video.
It is, and I gotta find out why Eddie's bottom bitch. So I will be doing that off camera, and I'm looking forward to hearing this story.
Okay. My brother's an idiot. That's all I'm going to say. He thought it was funny. He's the one that wrote it.
It's probably not a biography. Well, I'll talk to you guys later.